Hello and welcome to Potpourri. I'm your host, Crystal Brockton, and today we have a very special guest, Mrs. Em McNair. She is the CEO and founder of Extra Edge Incorporated. Hello, Ms. McNair, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. We are so excited to have you today, here to tell us all about your consultant firm. I know a bit about it, and I was actually really intrigued and interested when I read up on it. And I'm excited to have you and for you to tell us all about what you're doing with your organization and in the community in the Metro Atlanta area here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just as excited as you are to share with the public what I'm doing with the Extra Edge.
I know that you touch on business etiquette, you touch on financial literacy, and also another big thing that people are dealing with in their workplaces is how to deal with social media in the workplace, and how people perceive them via their Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram page. Could you tell us a little bit about your services and what Extra Edge does within the community and their trainees?
Absolutely. A little bit of background about the Extra Edge and how I came up with the name Extra Edge.
Right. Also want to talk about that too.
I worked in higher education for many years, and then I worked in a private corporation for many years, where I had the opportunity to hire people, employ people to do a job. And one of the things that I really found is that when employees are looking for individuals, employers are looking for individuals, they tend to look for specific skills related to the job. Can you add and subtract? That's real basic. Well, yes, if you can add and subtract and breathe at the same time, then you're hired. But what we found is that even though people may come to a job with the specific skills of the job, there are other skills that they are lacking, and I call those soft skills, such as customer service skills.
Correct, we deal with that every day.
Exactly. How to interact with people and how to make sure you don't get in a confrontation with people, those sorts of things. So I started doing this training with my staff, and I found out that they really wanted it. People really want to know what to do, how to do it. But in many companies, the resources are not invested to train people. They just hire them off the street, do the job, and think they know what to do. And one of the things that I model my practice on is Disney World. They spend a lot of resources training. They spend a lot of resources training the people who work. And if you will notice when you go to Disney World, all of the employees are very cordial, they're very nice. You go to other companies and it's like, you want something?
Right.
That sort of thing. So I looked at Disney World, I looked at another company where I worked for, and I thought, this is the key. They're investing a lot of resources in training people. One of the companies that I worked for, I was traveling a lot. They did training on diversity.
Oh, that's great.
Because you're interacting with different people, and sometimes people don't understand different cultures. And what you may say to one person in one setting, which may be okay, in another setting to a person in another culture can be very offensive. I found that this is the basic etiquette. Etiquette is just manners. People think etiquette is something big, far, and remote, but it's just manners. Like sitting to the table, blowing your nose on the dinner napkin. You would take for granted that people know better.
Right.
But oftentimes they really don't. Okay, now I've just talked, but I just get so excited about my company and some of the things that we can do. One of the things that I have been doing recently is helping people avert violence in the workplace. That's a big issue.
Harassment and things like that.
Exactly. And trying to help companies understand the importance of training people how to avert violence in the workplace. Because oftentimes I think that when we hire people, people just don't automatically become violent. There are patterns of behavior.
And situations escalate, and sometimes I find, in workplaces, people, they have issues, but they may not bring them, to their managers or their bosses right away. And so sometimes there are issues that build over time.
Exactly.
So, and then it blows out of proportion. People don't know how to deal with it, and they, handle it the wrong way.
That's true. One of our clients that we just had was a medical office, and I had called several times, left messages, no return call. I thought, these people need my service. So I thought, let me march in here and talk to, so I showed up, talked to the practice manager and the PA, and told them what had happened, and they acknowledged, yes, we do have some issues. So of course I took my card out and I said, this is the kind of thing I do to help your business grow, to help you maximize the potential of your employees. Because it's expensive to just hire someone and then, okay, they don't know how to treat people, out the door they go. Right. No, invest in them.
Invest in your employees.
Exactly.
It's very, very important, because this is something that, these people are going to be running your business. And I think that that's so important, to invest in the people that you hire, the people that are going to be handling even your budgets and your clients. Even when clients come in to a business, they want to know that they're being cared for.
Exactly. So it's worth the investment. I think if companies would really look at it long term, it's definitely worth the investment. I've even worked with funeral homes where they all, you would automatically think that people in a funeral home are very empathetic. That's not necessarily the case.
Oh, wow, really?
So, no. So I've been working with funeral homes as well. Now, I initially began marketing to institutions of higher education. That's my background. And of course, many of my colleagues had told me, oh, Em, you're so good with professional development. Would you come over and help us? So I thought, sure, I can make this a business,
Right.
And so that is how I got into the business of.
So you kind of learned over time that dealing with different customer service issues on your own, that this is, something that you wanted to get into and help. It wasn't like something you studied in school or like a lifelong dream or anything like that. It was just dealing with people on a day-to-day basis. Like, I see a place, that needs assistance.
Exactly.
Okay.
And my doctorate degree is in leadership. And so I think I envision a leader to be one who's visionary. You see beyond. I just envision that we could have better employees. People just want to do a good job. They want to do a good job. And if you teach them, they will. And let me go back to my example with the doctor's office. When the practice manager sent the staff for training, they said, we didn't want to come. We thought we had been doing this job for X number of years, so why do we need to come for customer service training?
Right, I already know what I'm doing, and that's how a lot of people feel. I've been doing this, I'm set in my ways, I don't need any improvement.
Exactly. By the time the training was over, they were all glad that they came.
That's great.
Yes. So I think that, I ask them, please have an open mind, because every time I do a training, I learn something. So every time you come to a training, you can learn something as well.
And you have to be willing to take criticism. You find that so many people, they just, like we said, they are so stuck in their ways, and this is the way I've been doing this for years, nothing needs to change. And sometimes constructive criticism is good.
It is.
It's very, very good for you. So with Extra Edge,
yes,
with your trainees, because I know you're very big on training, clearly, and customer service. So when you send your trainees out to deal with large groups of people from companies, what are some of the challenges that they've experienced being out in the field training people?
I'm there with them most of the time.
Okay.
Now, it depends on the topic. For example, if we're doing, let's see, the most recent one was averting violence. We have a criminologist who will go out I'm there with him to talk from maybe a perspective of human behavior. Oftentimes I'll take a medical doctor with me because, you see, it's just more than people shooting. You know, there are other elements involved in it. I think that many of the challenges that we run into is that the leadership of the company may know the policy and procedure, but that information has not filtered down to all of the workers. For example, in a workplace violence situation, you remember when you were in school, you have the fire drills. So you practice what to do in case there's a fire. Well, we find that even though there may be a policy of what to do in case an active shooter comes in, many of the people don't know what the policy is. There has been no practice of, okay, suppose someone comes in with a gun, what do you do?
It's kind of just on paper and no one's ever actually acted it out and had them role play it.
Right. And we've even seen places where they don't have policies at all. People where they don't have security cameras. You know, so we just find that it's just such a great need, and sometimes people don't know what they
should and should not be doing.
Exactly.
And it's, I know, like a pride thing for some people too, because they don't want to admit it. They don't want to admit, I don't know how to do this, or, you know, I don't know how to talk to this person a certain way. So I think that your company is awesome with just bringing it to the table, you know, bringing it to the table. I think that's great.
It's exciting. It's really exciting. Now, to sell it to them, it's not easy because, you know, it's an investment. That's what I like to call it. It's an investment. And oftentimes companies have not budgeted for this kind of investment. So, you know, it's a sale of trying to say, you know, the results may be long term, but it's worth investing.
Your time and your money.
Exactly.
Definitely. I love it. And we will be back after these messages with Ms. McNair to talk to you more about Extra Edge Incorporated.
Packers, Vikings, Packers, Viking, Packers.
Red state, blue state, vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
Downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities,
Live.
our families,
United.
even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
Mom, can we get some ice cream? Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
Crack yellow. Found their way out of
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
And I'm your host, Crystal Brockton. We are back with Ms. Em McNair. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
So we talked already a bit about the company that you are the founder of, CEO of, and what you do. I just want to talk to you more about yourself personally.
Okay.
How did you get started? How did you go about, you know, beginning your own firm?
Man, I go way back. I started as a director when I was very young, no training. It's kind of like, you know, you do a good job and you keep getting promoted and get promoted. And I thought, so what does a director do, you know? And I really didn't know. And I took all kinds of, I would look for courses, workshops, this is before online, to kind of learn. And then, of course, I had, shortly thereafter, my supervisor suggested that I go back to school and work on my doctorate degree. And it was at Clark Atlanta, at the time it was Atlanta University, that I learned a lot about leadership.
Awesome.
And the importance of the leader in the organization. I mean, that is key. If the leader is not on top of it,
it's not going to go anywhere.
It's not going to go anywhere.
Yep. You always have to have that anchor person.
Always have to have the anchor person. And my boss was just that. He was just so encouraging, so supportive. And that was the background of how I got started.
And that's awesome. And I love that you say that your boss was so encouraging.
He was.
For you, because as a leader, that's something that's very important. And some people being, you know, the higher up in the office don't always recognize that that's important. You have to support your employees. And I like even when you said before the break that you go out with your employees and your trainers and your trainees. I love that you just don't stay in the office as a CEO and you go out and you're engaging. That's really, really good.
I think it's important, very important. And then I started working in my professional association, and I realized that many of the people who were coming to the meetings, again, needed professional development. And so I got involved, and I recommended that they have a position like Vice President for Professional Development. Of course, I was the first person to hold that position, and I just think it's so critical that people have an ongoing professional development training. Again, not only in what they're doing, but especially in what they're doing, in addition to these soft skills. That's basically how I pretty much got started.
It's very important because especially when you're in a business and you're dealing with clients consistently, these are people that you want to build rapport with. These are people that you are building relationships with, to continue your business. And so I think that you going there and being that, you know, person to come to for development, and corporations having a person specifically for that, like you said, is very important because they now have a key person. Hey, I can go to he or she and speak to them about my personal development or where I'm lacking.
Exactly.
And that was another thing I wanted to talk to you about. Where do you see the most, I guess, where are people having issues the most? What issues do they lack in?
When I go into companies and I show them my portfolio, invariably it's customer service. Customer service, and really the businesses that will survive are those that provide first-class customer service. Now, if you just think about a situation yourself, if you get customer service, say over at Cumberland, good customer service at Cumberland, even though that same store might be 2 blocks from you, you know, the chain, what are you going to do?
You're going to go back where you got
good service. You're going to go back there.
Yep.
And if you get bad customer service, what are you going to do? Tell everybody you know.
Yep. And that's what is so important about building a rapport with people.
Yes.
And making sure they feel, you know, inclined to come back. You want your clients and your customers to want to come back to your business.
That's right.
And feel appreciated. I think that's the biggest thing in customer service for me is people just feeling that companies actually really care about their situation and where they're coming from.
And so we see this same thing in the funeral home business. You know, you would just think that that's not the case, but from what people have told me who work in that industry, yes, that is an issue. So customer service is the key. Good, and I like to call it customer care. I know we use the term customer service, but if we think of it as customer care, where you really care about the person.
It sounds more sincere.
It really does. So that's what I like to talk about with my clients' customer care. And yes, that is the largest issue because it covers so many areas. It covers if you are communicating with someone via email, over the telephone, you know, how you communicate with them.
And written communication is very important. A lot of people just put it on their resume, but they don't realize how important written communication is. Because when you're writing versus speaking to someone, it's very different. Oftentimes
very
you can't, when you're writing, that's all the person sees is your words on a screen. They don't know you. A lot of times when people communicate through emails at businesses, they don't really ever meet the person. So they're
Exactly.
meeting you through an email versus, you know, in person where they can
Absolutely.
see your facial expressions and really see how you are. So it matters a lot.
It does. Tone of voice, extremely important.
Yep.
In fact, that weighs more than what you say, the tone of voice, how you say it.
Yep, and people remember your character.
They do.
Character is key in a lot of places.
So I would say customer care has been the primary request from our company. And again, like I said, many organizations are calling us to do workshops on averting violence in the workplace. Now, we've done that more with organizations than with schools, like associations call us to attend their conferences for that sort of thing.
Okay. Now, I know that you do work with colleges and universities and schools, and a big thing with universities and college students is presenting yourself well in social media, because now you have Twitter, you have Instagram, you have Facebook, and I know that's one of the things that Extra Edge touches on. So how do you go about training students for that, for their social media image?
Now, we haven't done any training yet with students. I have done it primarily with companies, how they can maximize the use of social media to promote their companies, because that is extremely important if you want to relate to students or relate to your clientele. You know, they're on Facebook.
Everything's online.
Everything is online. So we talk to them about how they can maximize that while at the same time being very cognizant. You know, there are some people, that's all they do in the office. They stay on Facebook, Twitter, and all that. Now, it has nothing to do with work, but they are
constantly online, checking their status, checking their likes or their pictures.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so you just kind of go in and, you know, try to talk to them about limiting that. And I know.
And how to use it.
Right.
Yeah, because it's important that they learn how to use it to their advantage. That's the main thing.
Okay. So what are some key things that you can tell us about how to, I guess, you know, maximize your clients and things like that through social media?
I think first thing is you have to be honest. Integrity is so important. You know, and had one company who had the employees going out on Facebook writing the grand and glorious things about the company. You know, that's not good.
Can't do that.
You cannot do that.
It's not sincere at all.
It's not sincere at all. So I think that the primary thing is just to be candid, to be honest. And then the other side of that too is when there are comments left on Facebook or comments on Twitter, there should be someone in the company who's monitoring your accounts and make sure that you respond with a reliable person, not just
anyone in the company, right? And that's important too, because a lot of people find that when they do write companies on their social network, that they don't respond.
Exactly.
Or that their comments are just left with no answers. But there are also companies that are very big on that. They have people that work in their department specifically for social media to answer back and to let their customers know, we hear you, you know, we care.
I think that one of the things I saw just recently with the school, in fact, I even talked to the person about it, is keeping their web page updated. You know, you would think,
that's a big
take
thing
for granted that people would keep their web pages updated. But that's not always the case. You know, and so the first thing a person is going to do when they are thinking about your business, what they're going to do, go to the website. If your website is not updated or if your website looks inferior, then that's saying a whole lot about your business. So I always start with the website first.
The pages don't load, things are outdated. Some web pages you go on and there's things on there from a year ago or
even
you know,
longer.
some many months ago. And when you're a customer and you want, you know, information fast, that's the first thing we think. Let's Google it. You know, we're right on Google and we're searching it. And so I think that's really important and big that they're websites are always up to date because that's the first place people are going to go. No one
Exactly.
calls the actual store anymore or, wants to call the 800. You just want to, pull out your iPhone and go on
Right.
Google and find what you need. So it's important. That's really, really
Yeah,
important.
so that's one of the things we recommend right away. Update your website.
Okay.
And then the other thing along the same lines is make sure that your employees know what's on the website.
Right.
Now, one of the
And how to navigate it as well.
One of the groups that I had, and I always pull up the company's website when I'm doing training, in the training session, they had no earthly idea the things that their company offered.
Wow.
The people at the top probably wrote the script, gave it to the webmaster, but the people who were actually on the front lines had no earthly idea what the company offered. And they said, "Oh, we do that?" So
That's
see,
terrible.
It is, because that's your business.
And these are often the people that are coming into contact with your clients.
Exactly.
And that's what makes it so bad because it's like, how do you not train your employees to know your website, to navigate through your website, and to know what is on your website?
Exactly.
That's really very, very important. I don't even see how that's not built into the training structure.
Many companies, you may be surprised, but there are many companies, sad to say, but in this metropolitan area, colleges, where the websites are not updated. It's an unfortunate sort of thing.
Wow.
I mean, everything on a website should be updated. Even your job announcements. You go on some websites, they've had a job announcement out there since 1990.
That's very true. We've all seen that. Very, very true. I don't know what it is with the updating, but I think maybe sometimes that, especially with smaller companies, maybe a lot of times that they're shorthanded or they don't have enough people to keep keep their website together, and that's why I think that Extra Edge is awesome because you are like, hey, I'm stepping in here to help you with any and everything that you need for your business to get it back on track. You're like the Chef Ramsay of business consulting. I think that's really, really cool.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. McNair, for coming on and speaking to me about Extra Edge. I'm so excited to tell my friends, my family, and possibly some of these companies that have horrible customer service out here about you. And I just think that it's awesome what you are bringing to the table and what you are doing here in Metro Atlanta. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. This has been another episode of Potpourri. I'm Crystal Brockton.